Welcome back to ASTR, bringing you the best of the Adventist Church's past and present in order to inspire for the future. I'm your host, David Trim, Director of the Seventh-day Adventist Church's Office of Archives, Statistics and Research. In this episode, I look at this week in Adventist history, then talk with Dr. Galina Stele about what insights recent church research gives us into pastoral care. Then we have a segment on the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists, followed by our regular statistical nugget presented by Maggie Naira. But first, let's turn to this week in Adventist history. This week in Adventist history was notable for firsts in mission fields. On April 2 in 1910, American missionary Judson S. James conducted the first Adventist baptism in southern India when he baptized 14 men and 6 women. In 1893, church leaders had become aware of a group of Seventh-day Sabbath-keeping former Hindu Christians in what today is the Indian state of Tamil Nadu in the southeast of India, then part of the British Indian Empire. The group of Indian believers wrote a letter to Seventh-day Keepers New York City, which the U.S. postal authorities remarkably delivered to the General Conference at its headquarters, then in Battle Creek, Michigan. Some correspondence between the two followed, but the contact lapsed. However, in 1905, an Adventist missionary, Harry Armstrong, met members of this group on the island of Sri Lanka, which lies across the Palk Strait and the Gulf of Mannar from Tamil Nadu. This meeting was reported in denominational magazines, and in 1907, Judson James was assigned to work among Tamils. He and another missionary, George F. Enoch, began studying the Tamil language at a language school in Bangalore. Providentially, James's Tamil tutor happened to know of the Sabbath-keeping group and gave him their contact information. James wrote to them and, together with John L. Shaw, the superintendent of the India Mission, James and Enoch visited the group in Tirunelveli in December 1907. 3 months later, James and his family moved in among them on March 17, 1908. Later that year, they were joined by a nurse, Belle Shyrock. James conducted Bible studies that attracted many attendees. As more families joined the Adventists, their children were expelled from the schools operated by other local missions, and it became necessary to open an Adventist school. On November 1, 1909, a school was established in a rented building with 35 students. Within a month, the enrollment had increased to 60. 2 more American missionaries, Gentry and Bertha Lowry, who you see here, arrived from the United States in December 1909. They took over administration of the school, while Judson James continued Bible studies, leading in April 1910 to the historic baptism. Since then, the school has continued to operate under various names. Today known as James Memorial High School, it still educates young people. You can read more about it and its history on the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists online at encyclopedia.adventist.org. That's encyclopedia.adventist.org. Today, by the way, the Southeast India Union reports a membership of 133,000. 16 years after James's baptism in Tirunelveli, on April 2 in 1926, near the town of Es Salt, in what was then the country of Transjordan, today's Jordan, George D. Keogh conducted the first baptism in that country when he baptized 12 people in the nearby Jabbok River and organized a church. In 1912, Tigran Zakarian, an Armenian colporteur who was working around Jerusalem, had made a trip across the Jordan River and left publications in various places, including at Es Salt. The next year, Ibrahim el-Khalil held evangelistic meetings there, but had to leave because of the outbreak of World War I. However, as a result of his work, Michael Hilal el-Haddad began to keep the Sabbath and pay tithe. Contact was re-established with him in 1922, and eventually the legendary British missionary George Keogh conducted evangelistic meetings in Es Salt, which had a mixed Muslim and Christian population, leading to his landmark baptism in April 1926. Despite the long history, today there are just 180 Seventh-day Adventists in the modern nation of Jordan. Remember them in your prayers.
Have you ever wanted to read historic past issues of the Signs of the Times or the Review, but didn't know how you could do that? Well, take a look at ASTR's online archives, which holds not only historic issues of the Signs of the Times and the Review, but also historic issues of Union Conference periodicals, books, and minutes. Visit the online archives at documents.adventistarchives.org.
In the first episode of the ASTR video magazine, we talked about why people leave the church. The data we have suggests that member care is not always of the highest quality. Today, we will talk about member visitation in the Adventist Church, and I'm delighted to have with me Dr. Galina Stele, ASTR's Research and Evaluation Manager. So, Galina, what about member visitations by pastors and elders?
Yes, Dr. Trim. More than 56,000 Adventists from different divisions answered questions on visitations in the second Global Church Member Survey conducted in 2017-2018 worldwide. The findings showed that 62% of church members had been visited by their pastors in the previous year, while 59% said they had been visited by their elder.
Well, that's encouraging. Although it would be wonderful to have these figures higher, nevertheless, it was still a majority who had received at least one visit from their pastor or elder in the previous year. Galina, are there any problems with these results?
Indeed, it is wonderful that a majority had received these visits. However, when we look at the frequency of member visitations, we see disproportional attention of pastors or elders to some members and less care or even a lack of it to other members. In this graph, the data shows that while a quarter enjoyed pastors or elders' visits once a month or even more often, a large part of membership received these visits less frequently or not at all. About 2 in 5 reported no visits from a pastor or elder at all in the previous year. So the data shows that member visitation is not a high priority to some pastors or elders.
Yes, we see this disproportional number of visits to some members and neglect of almost 2/5 of the sample. Galina, does the data tell us something about these frequently visited members? Were they those who had stopped attending church regularly?
When the survey results were cross-tabulated, unfortunately, they showed that members who did not attend church in the last 12 months were the least likely to receive pastoral visits. Here are the results about pastors' visits to 7 groups of people according to their church attendance. The dark blue color stands for those who had never received a visit from their pastor during the previous year. And you see in the last column on the right that 61% of those who did not attend the church in the previous year had not received a visit from their pastors. At the same time, members who attended church every week or more often, the first 2 columns, were most likely to receive frequent, weekly, light blue color visits from their pastor. These findings may point to a lack of pastoral care for non-regular churchgoers. The same tendency was seen when the results of visitations by elders were cross-tabulated. those who did not attend church in the last 12 months were the least likely to receive a visit from an elder, while members who attended church every week were most likely to receive such visits, specifically on a weekly basis.
These numbers are concerning because they reveal that local church leadership does not appear to be reaching out to those who have stepped away from the church or were not regular attendees. Galina, do divisions differ in member visitations by the pastor or elders?
Yes. In the breakdown by division, some divisions were keener on member visitation by pastoral staff. Such examples are the Southern Asia Division and the Southern Asia Pacific Division. About 79% of the participants from the Southern Asia Division reported much higher than average rates of visitations once a month or more often, which is the blue color. At the same time, this division has the lowest rate of never visited members, only 6%, which is shown in the gray color. In the Southern Asia Pacific Division, half the respondents said they had been visited by a pastor once a month or more often. Only 20% had never received a visit from their pastor in the previous year. The same divisions are leading in visitations by an elder. However, some divisions had more than half of their respondents not recording being visited by their pastor in the previous year. You can read more about visitations by pastor or elder on our website at www.adventistresearch.info. Look there for the blog Pastor and Elder Visits, Global Data and Trends from March 15, 2023.
While many factors that influence pastoral visits are likely linked to cultural norms, one must ask if such a distance between congregants and their pastors is healthy. Of course, it could also be that some pastors oversee several churches and thus are unable to provide the same member care as pastors responsible for just one congregation. But Galina, what about church members? How do they interact with each other? Are they doing better in visiting each other? Do they visit their fellow church members more frequently than pastors or elders?
Yes. More members were visited by another church member than by pastoral staff or elders. In this graph, 80% report that they had been visited by a church member in the previous year. Half of them had received such visits once a month or even more often. The number of those who had not received a visit from a church member was only 21%. However, when the results were cross-tabulated, members who did not attend church in the last 12 months were again the least visited category. It appears that church members were also engaging in community with those who regularly attend the local church, and perhaps neglected those who started drifting away from the church. It might also be that local churches do not have information about those who have stopped attending church services in the last year.
Thank you, Galina. While it is important to consider cultural factors when reviewing the data on member visitations, as well as each pastor's capacity to visit members based on the number of congregations and church sizes, the importance of such visits should not be ignored. Local church leaders should be challenged to be aware of what is happening in the lives of their members and to visit them more frequently, especially those who are no longer active. Members may be able to open up more freely during these visitations. Topics that may not seem appropriate during church service on Sabbath could be addressed in a home environment. Churches may also use new creative ways for member visitations and interactions, such as scheduled Zoom hangouts, small group meetings or FaceTime calls, getting together for a picnic, or even sending a handwritten note to remind members that they are valued, cared for, and not forgotten, because every single church member matters.
Who are the Seventh-day Adventists? Who took the Adventist message to India? Or who took it to other countries? What is the history of Adventist universities, hospitals, and other institutions around the world? My great-grandparents were missionaries to Lake Titicaca. Where can I find information about them? What if we could have reliable answers to these and other questions at our fingertips? This is now possible using the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists online. The Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists, or the ASTR online, is a global church project that includes an estimated 8,500 entries, accompanied by photographs, media, and original documents in an online portal accessible to anyone. The ASTR Online is a great tool for those seeking to do research and learn more about the Seventh-day Adventist Church around the world, and also for those looking to witness to others. The ASTR Online is the Adventist Church's first online reference work, available to the public since June 2020. This free website will be periodically updated and expanded.
Some people may ask, why a new encyclopedia? Why not just update the current encyclopedia? Well, almost 25 years after the second revised edition of the Seventh-day Adventist Encyclopedia, and more than half a century after publication of the first edition, the Seventh-day Adventist Church needs a new reference work, one that embodies the diverse Adventist Church of the 21st century, that reflects the tremendous growth in the church in the last 50 years and the shifts in global membership, and that incorporates the latest Adventist historical scholarship. But it also needs an online encyclopedia that includes all the possibilities of the digital age and enables interactive engagement by readers. During its spring meeting at the Adventist Church headquarters in April 2015, the General Conference Executive Committee approved a budget for the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists, the ESDA.
The ASTR is a brand new reference work. It includes historical data from world regions that previously were left out of the encyclopedia. Also, even though the authors of the earlier editions really did try to present an international, worldwide perspective, there are some that feel that it was written mostly from a North American perspective.
The ASTR draws on the expertise of hundreds of scholars, teachers, and authors worldwide, about 30 assistant editors and research assistants, and 25 consultant editors from all 13 divisions, the Middle East and North Africa field, and the General Conference work on the encyclopedia.
The advantage of worldwide involvement is that the editors and authors can collect materials from their local churches, such as letters and diaries that members keep and never think of sharing unless asked.
They can also collect information based on old tradition by conducting interviews with surviving relatives or people who know about specific historical events. Sadly, such information can vanish if not put in writing.
One of the main goals of this encyclopedia is to be a missional tool to reach the world with the Adventist message and highlight the missional challenges still remaining in order to reach the world.
Other goals are to supply reliable information on Adventist history, crucial events and themes, organizations, entities, institutions, and people, strengthen Adventist identity in a fast-growing worldwide movement, heightening awareness of distinctive doctrinal and prophetic beliefs, and provide a reference work for those new to the Adventist faith, mature in the faith, and not of the Adventist faith, to learn about all aspects of Adventism. All ASTR articles are signed and include notes and sources. The goal of each ASTR article is to be primary source-based, honest, open, comprehensive, and rigorous, representative of the diversity and richness of Adventism, and fully understandable to both church members and the public.
Thousands of articles are completed and in writing, but many topics still need authors. We welcome members from all walks of life with expertise on a given subject, not only scholars specializing in history or theology, to contribute articles to the encyclopedia or to suggest a new topic. Browse the article list on the ASTR website and consider, what are some other topics that merit inclusion in the encyclopedia? It may be a forgotten person that you think people should know about. It may be the Adventist work in the country or city in which you were born. You may want to suggest an article on a school or ministry. or write about Adventist engagement with an issue such as social activism, religious freedom, or the environment. If you want to suggest a new topic or contribute an article, please check the Get Involved page for the author guidelines and write to encyclopedia@gc.adventist.org or leave a message to the ASTR website.
We have nothing to fear for the future, except as we shall forget the way the Lord has led us and His teaching in our past history. It's a familiar statement by Ellen G. White, one of the Adventist Church pioneers and co-founders, but with lasting significance. And for us to know God's teachings and leadings, we need to know the facts of our history. Help us fulfill that inspired admonition to remember, record, and rehearse the history of God's church, so that together we may go forward fearlessly into the future.
I'm excited about the Encyclopedia of Seventh-day Adventists online. It will make research about the Adventist Church so much easier and more engaging. I will use it and share it with my friends and other people who want to learn more about my faith and my church. Encyclopedia.adventist.org, representing the diversity and richness of Adventist heritage.
Welcome to the latest statistical nugget from the ASTR Data Collection and Publication team. For this episode's statistical nugget, we will take a peek into age statistics within the world membership data. The 2022 Annual Statistical Report published preliminary data collected from 9 divisions which are completely or partially using the eAdventist software or the Adventist Church Membership System, also known as ACMS for short. This shows that our youngest church members, ages birth through 20, comprise 23% of the world membership. The working age members, ages 21 through 65, comprise the largest category of 65%, and our aging members, ages 66 through over 80, comprise only 12%. Charts 3 through 8 of the 2022 ASR, found on page 6, display age statistics by category in each of the 9 responding divisions. Here is a summary of the breakdown. For ages up to 20, the Inter-American Division reports the lowest percentage in its category, with just 3% of members. For ages 21 through 35, the West Central Africa Division reports the highest percentage in this category with 36%, followed closely by the East Central Africa Division with 32%. The Inter-European and Trans-European divisions report the lowest, with both at 14%. For ages 36 through 50, West Central Africa leads again in this category at 26%, though only just ahead of several other divisions. This category appears to be the most consistently high for all divisions, ranging between 8% to 26%. For ages 51 through 65, the Inter-European Division reports the highest percentage of ages in this range with 28%. East Central Africa reports the lowest with 11%. For ages 66 through 80, the Inter-European Division again reports the highest percentage of members in this category with 20%. Again, East Central Africa reports the lowest with 4%. And for ages over 80, the Northern Asia Pacific Division reports the highest percentage of ages over 40 with 15% of members. Most other divisions report much lower membership in this category, ranging from 1% to 6%. If you would like to have more information on the world statistics of the Seventh-day Adventist Church, please go to www.adventiststatistics.org. That's adventiststatistics.org.
That's it for another episode. Thanks for being with us, and please join us again next time as we bring you the most interesting and inspiring Adventist content from the past and from today.